I'm Brian from Tactical Performance Center. We're going to talk about some techniques for pulling a double action, single action trigger that will make you more confident if your service pistol, like this Beretta, is a DASA, or enable you to choose a double action, single action as your preferred sidearm, because there are some benefits to certain DASA pistols like weight and the single action trigger that might outweigh the slight training that you have to do to overcome this DA first shot. So we'll talk about how to keep your finger moving perpetually all the way until you get to the back so that this double action trigger pull is not a hard thing. In fact, it's barely even a factor. Within 1 or 2 practice sessions, you won't notice it. There are some really good double action, single action offerings out there from Beretta, CZ, and others like Sig Sauer that really might fit your needs better, fit your lifestyle a little better if you can get past that first double action. So what's the technique? What are we going to do to help get that first double action pull out of the way? Well, one thing that's commonly taught is to prep and stage a double action trigger like so, where essentially if you watch the trigger finger, you take up some of the pull and you get the hammer about 3/4 of the way back, and then you press through at the end. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it can work for some people. What I like to do is kind of flip that, turn it on its head. What I do is I will just move the trigger at the same speed all the way through. I start at the front and just go all the way to the back. Now, it's similar to, for example, a trigger slap, where I may start at the front and go all the way to the back without ever stopping, but it doesn't have to be fast. So I'm right here at the 20-yard line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do some double action shots. I'm not going to move particularly slow, but I'm just going to keep the finger moving the whole time at the same speed all the way from front to the back. And I'm going to see what I can do downrange on that half-scale IPSC target. So we're just going to go double action. Now place my sights, and this is one of the things you might really want to do to learn this, is just place the sights. I know exactly where I want it. I'm just going to keep the finger moving the whole time without stopping it. Let's go check that out. Ah, darn, I was just a little bit off to the right. I was trying to center punch the A out of the A zone, but it didn't really work as well as I thought. I was just a little bit to the right. But that's a good technique, using that zipper style of pull. All the way from the front to the back without ever stopping. And you'll learn you can actually do that at varying speeds. So at closer distances, I can move that a lot faster because maintaining perfect direction is less important to keep me inside that A zone. Now, one other thing to be aware of, especially when you get into heavier triggers, whether that be double action or even a heavy striker fired or single action pull, the faster I move, more resistance, that heavier poundage, the more tendency there is for the isolation of the hand and the trigger finger to break down. So ideally what I want to do is move only the index finger straight back. But what happens when I encounter that increased resistance of a heavy double action trigger pull is the other fingers want to get involved. Specifically with the double action, I found the bottom 2 fingers, the pinky and the ring finger, really want to tighten up and close on that grip. And what you'll find is as you stroke that trigger really fast, those 2 fingers tighten up and it pulls everything low. And you can kind of see what it looks like here on a live fire shot. If you watch these bottom 2 fingers and watch the levelness of the gun, I'll leave them a little bit loose and I'll try to stroke it really fast, and we punched it. And you can probably see that really clearly when you watch the levelness of the gun. So I can still pull the trigger at that pace. All I'm going to do is I'm going to set these bottom 2 fingers, make sure they're absolutely stiff and they stay stiff. These 2 fingers are really tight squeezing the gun. This finger, this middle finger, is beginning to relax, and the index finger is completely relaxed, allowing it to move straight to the rear really, really efficiently. So now keeping those 2 tight, I can keep it in the A zone really, really easily at that faster pace. It's just keeping the isolation maintained in that hand at that higher resistance, higher speed. So that's how to keep your finger moving all the way to the back and maintain isolation in your hand to keep that trigger finger going along that straight line without moving anything off. So now you should be able to feel a lot more confident when you pull the double action on this pistol, even at a high rate of speed. I'm Brian, and I hope to see you in class.